Evelyn to Phil, December 13th, 1942, 12:40 p.m. My beloved, Friday night, just before the baby's 6 o'clock feeding, I washed myself and fixed myself for the evening. As I sat before the vanity and brushed my hair, I noticed that my pajamas, ones I wore on our honeymoon, were stained at the breasts. The material was dry and hard. I looked, and lo and behold, milk. It was flowing freely. When I touched them, I could have cried out from pain. I had Gloria call the doc, and he ordered me to continue taking stilbestrol tabs to dry them out. I fashioned a breast binder out of a piece of white material and made it as tight as I could stand. I can't have any chocolate for 2 months. We have 6 pounds on hand. My luck. Page 2. Next morning the pain was gone and my breasts were soft once more. I can't sit right and it will be some time before I can. The baby was up all afternoon yesterday and both moms and myself stood by the crib and laughed at her antics. Can you picture it? When Glo called the doc, I had her ask him whether I could give the baby boiled water. He said yes. She took 3 ounces of water at one crack. Babies don't like anything unless it's sweet, so we were all surprised to see her take the water. Usually the water must be sweetened a bit. She likes her beta-lactose formula and she weighed, page 3, 6 pounds 9 ounces today. She's beginning to pick up regularly. Her hair gets redder each day, and it's a pretty chestnut color. Most everyone thinks she takes after you and Mom. She's definitely a strong baby. I wish you could see her when I lay her on her tummy. She lifts her head and tries to get up. I like when she smiles, too. She wakes up and stays up longer now during the day. She sleeps right through the night and only cries when she has to be fed. She's a good baby, sweet. As I told you, dear, the bassinet arrived yesterday and it's really pretty. All pink and blue flowers and white rubber and... Page 4, canvas. I set it up in the corner where the chair stood and moved the chair closer to the chest. This bedroom is beginning to resemble Babyland. I wore my aqua slacks last night and my heavyweight sweater. It makes quite a nice outfit. I broke the zipper on my white sweater at the bottom, and although I can still zip it, it's going to pieces fast. I'm wearing the same thing this afternoon because it's warm. After I fed the baby, 6 p.m., I slowly walked down the stairs to eat supper and await your call. The joy that comes to me when your voice sounds in my ears, when you take me in your arms and tell me how much you love me, will never, page 5, diminish. I get so flustered that my mind becomes a blank, and I never say the things I had intended to say. You know, precious baby, my heart grew so big I felt it reach out and embrace you. Didn't you feel it? Oh, darling, what I wouldn't give to draw you close and kiss you. I've been sort of dazed ever since I came home. People sometimes have to say things twice to me before they receive a response. And I don't get excited about anything as I used to. Even the gifts we've received leave me cold. I think the folks were a little disappointed at my attitude when they handed me the 3 packages. I'm so stone cold and dead inside, I don't know how I managed to smile or even seem happy. I'm about, page 6, as miserable as I can be with all these aches and pains. I don't mind them too much. I'm too busy tending the baby. I relax when I'm too tired or weak. When I put the receiver back on the hook, there was a big lump in my throat and a piece of lead in my chest. I started to cry, and that terrible loneliness and desire I've been feeling for you since I came home swelled up. It lasted till 12 this afternoon when I managed to get a grip on myself. I had cried so much my eyes were slightly swollen, but I felt much better internally. I seem all pent up, and there's so much to show and tell you, yet when I sit down to write, all I can think of, page 7, is how much I love you. Phil, dearest, words nor actions can ever express the feelings I have for you. I simply adore you, and I'm lost without you by my side. A little before 10, I slowly ascended the stairs to feed the baby. Going down, it isn't too bad, but going up takes a lot. I don't think you should call me on Wednesday, honey, because I don't think it advisable for me to go down or up till at least next Saturday or Sunday, and possibly later. It takes too much out of me. Honey, I'm glad you paid for the call before calling. I prefer it that way. Then Mom won't know exactly what it's costing, and she'll have less to worry about. Keep a lot of change on hand, especially when you, page 8, intend to call me. So much has happened and is happening that it's impossible for me to remember to tell you each and everything. Don't worry, my sweet, for when I finally do see you, we'll stay in bed for days if necessary and get it all off our chests. I'm storing it all up. Taking care of and raising a baby is a hard and tedious task and requires much patience, understanding, and strength. You'll never be able to appreciate it till you have to dig in. My mom pulled a fast one yesterday. She sat down on a chair she thought was there, but wasn't, and landed on the floor. She's had an awful backache ever since. I'm going to have her, page 9, apply heat when she comes in to sleep tonight. Harry locked her out last night, unknowingly. It's heartwarming to know Adele has such a good and loving grandmother. It makes up for the lousy great-grandmother. And what a mother she is. Even Glow said, Evelyn is a lucky girl to have such a mother. She's 1 in a million. Glow has been swell to Mom, especially when she was in bed. She's kind of woken up to the real facts and seems nicer. I hope it lasts. Mr. Firmer was in to see the baby this morning. He was surprised to hear how much she weighed at birth, because he thought I was so small during my pregnancy. He said he was crazy about our bedroom furniture. Page 10. Anna Presti was over this afternoon. It's now 8 p.m. and looks swell. Her baby is almost a month old and weighs 8 pounds 11 ounces. Tony has to go for his first physical next week, so I guess he'll be joining you shortly. Anne is thankful he stayed out this long. It was freezing cold all day, but it's comfortably warm in here. Pookie, another pet name, is sound asleep, God bless her. Mr. and Mrs. Brown were over for a few hours. Mom is still the same. She's gone to bed already after rubbing herself down with Vicks. She also has my electric pad. The cold weather, as usual, is affecting her. I'll let you know how she progresses. Page 11. She positively won't have the doctor. If she doesn't show definite signs of improvement by tomorrow, I'll get one in spite of her protests. I didn't realize I had forgotten to tell you about the checks. They arrived December 5th with a little note that said we should receive our checks about the 5th of each month hereafter. I'm beginning to like my robe, and if you think you'll like it, I'll keep it. I'm getting used to the color. Flora just dropped in. They returned from their honeymoon today, and she's as happy as a lark. Incidentally, baby, have you registered the baby's name yet? I didn't get any mail from you yesterday. I wish, page 12, sweetness, you would try to write early on Thursday so I can have mail on Saturday morning, since there is only one delivery on Saturday, and you have to write before 6 in order for this to be so. Jack wants to mail this for me and is in a hurry, so I'll close now with love from all. More tomorrow. Forever your Chippy and Mommy, Evie. Philip to Evelyn, Sunday, December 13th, 6:20 p.m. Darling, when I talked to you last night, I was so anxious to know how you and baby are getting along that it never occurred to me to tell you what I had been doing all day. I got permission from the sergeant to leave early, 8 a.m., in order to find a synagogue in town where I could register Adele's name. Thus, I got out of standing inspection, which gives all soldiers a pain in the ear. When I got to Columbus, I inquired at the Traveler's Aid for the nearest synagogue. After a search through several directories, we managed to find one, the Agudat Achim. The janitor answered my phone call and told me they were about to start services, so I hopped page 2, a cab, and got there in 5 minutes. They were just starting the service, and when I walked in, a few of the men gathered about me, shook my hand, asked me where I hailed from, how long I was in the army, etc., etc. Finally, the shamus came along and took me in hand. He provided me with a tallis and a siddur, and when I had explained my business, assured me that it would be taken care of. So I sat and stood at intervals and listened to the old familiar heartwarming chant of the rabbi as he led the congregation in prayer. After about an hour of this, I was called up to the platform where the Torah lay open on the altar. First, I was made to wipe a corner of the tallis on the parchment of the Torah and kiss that particular corner. Next, I read a designated passage in Hebrew. Then the rabbi read a long, page 3, passage in the Torah itself. Then I read another short paragraph, after which another Jew, Mr. Millman, asked me who the baby was to be named for. My name, your Jewish name, which I said was Ba'ava. I hope I wasn't wrong. My own Jewish name, etc. When I told them I wanted to name the child Adele Barra, they were heartily in accord and told me I couldn't have done better, which of course made me feel very, very good. Then Mr. Millman said what I took to be a prayer, since it was not read for the souls of all of us, you, the baby, and my father, of fondest memory. This I know because I distinguished the names of each in the jumble of Hebrew, which, as far as I'm concerned, is so much Greek. Finally, the rabbi read another lengthy passage from the Torah, and the 6 or 7 men on the platform each shook my hand and wished me mazel tov. Altogether, it was, page 4, a rather impressive ceremony, and I'm glad I took the trouble. When I took my place in the congregation, a man sitting near me leaned over and asked me what I had in mind for that day. I told him I hadn't planned anything except a movie, whereupon he asked me to eat lunch at his home. I accepted with thanks. 5 minutes later, another old fellow sauntered over and invited me to eat at his home, and when I told him of my previous arrangement, he shook his head good-naturedly and muttered, "That Topolsky doesn't give anyone else a chance." I found out later that my host made a practice of inviting all stray soldiers who happened into the synagogue to his home for a meal. Talk about being religious. He has Mrs. Nierenberg skinned a mile. In the first place, he walked all the way to and from the synagogue in the snow, a 30 minutes walk each way, which, page 5, I found out. As soon as we crossed the threshold of his rather neat and very cozy home, he presented me with a yarmulke, which I put on. Then he introduced a few members of his large family who happened to be home. First his wife, then his married daughter, whose husband was drafted just last Thursday, and last but not least his grandchildren, whose mother and father were both at work, while the grandparents watched them. Stuart, age 9, is a good-looking kid who someday will be a whiz at something or other. He has a very retentive and analytical mind and amazed me more than once with his knowledge in varied subjects. But the feature of the afternoon was Alice. 5 years old and a sweeter, more docile, more intelligent little lady I have never seen. Her beauty is the kind you find only on magazine covers. Long brown hair, large gray eyes, set, page 6, widely from her perfect little nose in a round face. And her smile is enough to melt the heart of anyone, male or female. The perfect white little teeth peep from behind perfectly formed lips. Oh, what's the use? I couldn't begin to describe the charm of the little dear. The moment she smiled at me, I wanted to hold her in my arms, so sweet did she seem. If our own little Adele is as pretty and wise and appealing at 5 years as little Alice Bennis, then I shall be a proud and happy father indeed. As a matter of fact, I think I'll be so proud that I'll start turning them out in job lots. What say, honey? For lunch we had roast goose, kishka, chicken noodle soup, chopped liver, and stewed prunes. I can hear Mom laughing. Oh yes, besides 3 rather mediocre married daughters, he has 4 good-looking sons. 2 of them officers. Page 7, officers. 1 private and 1 in the Coast Guard. The old man is quite a kibitzer and kids everyone unmercifully, even his grandchildren, who adore him. He gives them 10 cents apiece for scratching his head while he dozes in an armchair. A more contented old man I've never seen, and no wonder. I left the Topolskys about 3 p.m., and it was snowing heavily. I caught a trolley to the center of town and went to a movie, Black Swan, with T. Power and M. O'Hara, and another short picture I forget the name of, but which was very amusing. The show was over by 6:30, and I went to eat. Then I started to call you, my sweet. I say started because I didn't succeed until more than an hour later. It certainly was good to talk to you again, honey. We must do it more often. Hearing Mom's voice was, page 8, reassuring too. I sincerely hope she is entirely well by now. Your letter with the photostats was awaiting me when I got back, 8:30 p.m. I will attend to the matter at the first opportunity. About the robe, all I can say is, if you like it, keep it. If not, exchange it. I dislike committing myself until I have seen it, and that may be weeks yet. So use your own judgment, baby. I haven't been paid yet, although I'm expecting it daily, but will mail the money order as soon as I am paid. You should have it by next week at the latest. Keep well, my darling, and keep our little Adele. That, by the way, is her official Jewish name, well too. Regards and love to all. Tell the Fromers and Dottie I still have them in mind, but haven't yet found the opportunity to write. Just bide your time, my lovely, and your adoring soldier will be with you once again. Kiss our daughter for us, Phil.